the Customs and Border Protection, which is CBP, that's the conditions in the CBP facilities.
Right.
Okay, but you're really going to stand up and tell us that being able to sleep isn't a question of safe and sanitary conditions?
Your Honor, I think what I'd like to stand up and
Not
say
really gonna say
is
that.
to focus the court on what the question is here in this appeal, and that's any number of things might fall under those categories, and I think
Yes, but sleep surely does, right? You can't be safe and sanitary or safe as a human being if you can't sleep.
Well,
and you said in your briefs it doesn't say anything about sleeping, so therefore there's nothing in here about being able to sleep.
I think the concern there is, Your Honor, the court finding that sleep, for example, is relevant to a finding of no safe and sanitary conditions is one thing, but the ultimate conclusion is safe and sanitary is a singular category in the agreement, and it was one has to assume left that way and not enumerated by the parties because either the parties couldn't reach agreement on how to enumerate that, or that it was left to the agencies to determine.
Or it was relatively obvious, and it's at least obvious enough so that if you're putting people into a crowded room to sleep on a concrete floor with an aluminum foil blanket on top of them, that doesn't comply with the agreement. I mean, it may be that they don't get super thread counts Egyptian linens. I get that. But the testimony that the district judge believed was it's really cold. In fact, it gets colder when we complain about it being cold. We're supposed to sleep crowded with the lights on all night long, and all you do put us on is the concrete floor with an aluminum blanket. I mean, I understand at some outer boundary there may be some definitional difficulty, but no one would argue that this is secure and sanitary, safe and sanitary, or at least I don't think you're arguing that, are you? Are you arguing seriously that you do not read the agreement as requiring you to do something other than what I've just described? Cold all night long, lights on all night long, sleep on the concrete, and you get an aluminum foil blanket. Are you saying that that's okay under the agreement?
And too crowded to lie down, which they also said.
I find that inconceivable that the government would say that that is safe and sanitary.
I think what I'm arguing, Your Honor, is that I don't believe that the district court made the finding in the way that Your Honor just detailed it.
Everything I just said comes right out of the district court order.
I mean, I think what I would go to is when you start enumerating, for example, specific hygiene items, and the way that was done is that the court sort of enumerated these and say these fall under the rubric, these fall in the category of what could be required.
Again, it wasn't perfume soap, it was soap. It wasn't, high-class milled soap, it was soap. And that sounds, that's part of safe and sanitary. Are you disagreeing with that?
What I'm disagreeing with is that the court ultimately concluded these things would fall under here, and then simply by not providing them, you have violated that tenet of the agreement. And I also would note that in that particular...
What do you... Granted that the decree doesn't have a list of items that has to be supplied in order to be sanitary, what's a reasonable, in your eyes, what's a reasonable definition of sanitary that the court could enforce?
Well, I think what I would ask is, what I would say is I would ask that the court find that the conditions were not safe and sanitary. What the court found is these things fall within that category, and by not providing them, that's an automatic breach of the agreement.
Well, I don't know if it's automatic, but to me it's more like, as Judge Fletcher says, it's within everybody's common understanding that, if you don't have a toothbrush, if you don't have soap, if you don't have a blanket, it's not safe and sanitary. Well, wouldn't everybody agree to that? Do you agree to that?